Hello there. In this video I'm going to look at the running costs for the BMW i3 which we've had for 1 year. So this is a 2021 model, 120 amp hours. It's got a 42-ish kilowatt hour usable battery. And theoretically the range is around about 180, 190 miles. Now with all things EV there's a lot of variables that come into play here. Our commute for this car is about 50% A roads and dual carriageway, and then 50% slow town driving, stuck in traffic, that kind of thing. We've had the car for a full year this week and I've not reset the onboard computer, so I can tell you the car has done 4.3 miles per kilowatt hour over the full year. Now, to give this a little bit of context, I'm going to compare the costs against the Citroen C3 which we had before, which was doing the same commute, and against the 520 diesel that we had before that. The C3 is a good match in size for the i3, and the 520 diesel was about 35 grand, which is the same price as the i3. I've done a separate video looking at the costs for our Q4, which we've had for 6 months, so feel free to pop into that and have a look to see how the costs compare. We don't have a home charger, so all our charging is done at public chargers, like the one at our local leisure centre. We often charge at the shops when we're at the shops, or if I'm at the gym or out and about. If we're going to be somewhere and the car's going to be parked, there's a charger nearby, we will top it up while we're out and about. Okay, spreadsheet time, here we go. So, start with a 520 diesel. I've put in an approximate average price for diesel for the last year. The BMW 520 diesel got 46 miles per gallon in the time that we had it. So that gives a cost per mile of 16 pence for diesel. This doesn't include any kind of finance or anything like that. For the C3, it's unleaded, so I put a slightly lower cost in for the average for the cost for the year. It didn't have a trip computer that kept the track for the full time that we had it, so it was round about 48, it varied between 46 and 50, so I've gone with 48, and that works out at 14 pence per mile for unleaded. I should point out, the C3 was doing the same commute as the i3. The BMW at that point was doing a motorway commute, which played to its strengths as a motorway cruiser. The rest of the spreadsheet's based on 4.3 miles per kilowatt, which we've recorded in the i3. I've put in different percentages of charge, so I can work out different costs for different scenarios. So, first scenario, looking at the current breakdown of our charging, which according to the app, looks like around about 30% of our charging is done for free while we're out and about, and 70% is done at the local leisure centre, which charges 16 pence per kilowatt hour. So the total cost for the electricity for the year is £273.49, which is significantly cheaper than either the BMW or the C3 would have been. Now, the next scenario I looked at was home charging. I don't have a home charger, but I looked at some tariffs. They looked to be between 4 and 8 pence per kilowatt hour. So assuming 6 pence per kilowatt hour, if we're doing 100% home charging, then that would work out £146 for the year versus £1,600 for the BMW or £1,400 for the C3. The next one I did was a what if scenario. What if I did 50% of my charging at home, 25% at a local charger on 16 pence per kilowatt hour, and 35% on an Edinburgh rapid charger, for example, at 35 pence a kilowatt hour. Again, the costs are still a good bit cheaper than either petrol or diesel for this scenario. Finally, once I correct the word ultra, which I'd spelt wrong previously, oops, what about an absolute worst case scenario? 100% of your charging done on an Ionity charger at 69 pence per kilowatt hour. Eventually, if you pay enough for electricity, the cost savings disappear, so this worked out more expensive than either the BMW or the C3. However, given that the car maxes out at 50 kilowatts, I don't imagine many folk will put it on an Ionity charger and waste their money that way. So disclaimer time. It saved us a fortune this year because we've only spent 270 quid on electricity for over 10,000 miles. But it all depends on what chargers you've got available in your local area, and that's the part that seems to be a bit of a lottery just now. Hopefully the infrastructure will grow and the pricing will become more consistent, but really there's a lot of variables at play in here. That's all I've got for you today. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe and suggest any other videos you want me to do in the comments.